What's up everyone, John from Beyond ARTV. It's time for a thinking out loud styled video. I asked you guys over in the community tab if you had any videos that you wanted to see me make in the coming week or two, and shout out to this viewer that asked me to talk about this topic. So today, I'm kind of going to be trying to attempt to explain, I know that got a little wordy there, I'm going to try and explain why I don't really care for most metalcore music. What problems do I have with the genre? What stops me from getting into it? Are there bands that break the mold and are exceptions to the rule? Of course there are, but overall, and I've probably made this clear already throughout the reviews that I've done for many metalcore bands over the past 5 or 6 years, but I really don't like metalcore, not for the most part. Now, what problems do I have with this genre? Am I just unnecessarily hating on the genre for existing, for being what it is? And maybe it's not just my cup of tea, maybe it's like everybody who feels this way, or maybe nobody is on my side and nobody agrees. I'm probably somewhere in the middle even with that. I think a lot of people feel like I just unnecessarily hate on every metalcore act out there, but that's really not true, as there are exceptions to the rule. There's metalcore, at least metalcore influenced or somewhat styled bands like Converge, Norma Jean, even bands like Icy Stars that infuse it into their sound. I might not be in love with them, but I still enjoy their music. But why do I not care for the genre as a whole? Well, for the most part, I can kind of boil it down to a couple of things, and the first of those is the lyrical content. Now, with the lyrics in metalcore music, I feel like much of it just boils down to this invisible war that I'm not exactly sure what I'm supposed to be feeling or fighting against. I get that they're written for maybe people who are younger, who are having different struggles, or just trying to overcome maybe an obstacle in life, and I get that, and I understand why a lot of people maybe work out to it, or just listen to it when they're really feeling down, or like they can't pull themselves back up. I understand that, but it's the same problem that I have with just anthems in general. I think that every metalcore song, for the most part, at least from a lot of bands, just tries to be this anthem that pulls somebody up from this depth, or else they're fighting and they're dragging me out from hell, or whatever the lyrics are. I just feel like I hear the same things about, like, oh, you're gonna have to over my dead body, or you're gonna have to drag me to hell, or I've been through hell, or I've been through this horrible thing, but here I am, and I am invincible, and I'm fighting against this, and I'm gonna do whatever it takes to beat this down and to stop this, and you're not gonna tell me how to do it or how to live my life. We're gonna fight back and attack, and then a breakdown ensues, and this throttling guitar that sounds like pretty much every other throttling guitar that I've ever heard, whether it be anybody like The Color Morale, or Attila, or even Crown the Empire. Despite them having some more ambitious lyrics, I feel like musically a lot of the time they kind of play it safe. Like I said, I can't throw a blanket on the entire genre, but for the most part, there's so many bands out there. Memphis Mayfire, even bands that are kind of influenced by metalcore in some ways, at least in some of their material, like Falling in Reverse, and We Came as Romans. Sorry to name check that one. R.I.P. Kyle Pavone. I definitely respect all of these bands. I'm not hating on all of them. I shouldn't say all of them. I don't respect Attila, but especially We Came as Romans, especially at this sensitive time. I was never a huge fan of their music, and I'm not going to pretend to be, but still, I think that Kyle was very talented as a vocalist, and I cannot believe that he was lost at the age of 28. Anyways, sorry to get off topic there. That was definitely a sad path, but one that should be talked about. I know it was ruled an accidental overdose, but still, just check on your friends. Anyways, metalcore in general to me just kind of boils down to the lyrical content that circles around the exact same themes, and as many people have said, there's as many generic metalcore albums as there are stars in the sky. Sure, that could be an exaggeration, but also, is it really? Because there's so many out there that I just listen to, and they strike me in no way. And I just listen to something that does do it better, like Converge, for example, and I'm thinking, okay, the intensity, the rawness, and the passion that is found here, and the screams, and the vocals, and the instrumentals, the dedication, it just feels like it puts all of the other bands in the scene to shame. They've been at it since like the early 90s, and other bands who even infuse metalcore into their sound. I mean, I wasn't even crazy about the last Beartooth record, but still, Beartooth definitely have a sound to them. And post-hardcore was mentioned by this viewer that requested the video too, and I find that to be a style that I am much more in line with and inclined to personally. I feel like it's something when I sit down to listen to a band that has post-hardcore in them, whether it be Silverstein, or even somebody like Pierce the Veil, or other modern bands that do it. There's definitely like the classics, and then there's like the new wave of post-hardcore that stemmed from hardcore music. I'm not necessarily always a fan personally, and I can admit this, of like the rougher vocals or the screamed vocals that are all the time, and just harsh, brutal instrumentals that are more chaotic than they are clean, and I suppose having a flow to them. I admit that that's a personal preference, but I also want to say that in general, I feel like a genre like post-hardcore definitely kind of stands above metalcore, in the sense that metalcore is just down here playing in the middle of the road, and it's like, I feel like I could just pass it by and I didn't even know if I heard it or not. I wouldn't remember it in like a day from now or even an hour from now. And post-hardcore often leaves a little bit more of an impression on you, just because it seems like the guitarists, the drummers, and everybody else in those types of bands, not every post-hardcore band, of course, because there's always exceptions, but in general, it just feels like they put in more attention to detail and there's more of a thought process. Whereas metalcore, sure, it takes talent to actually be able to play those instruments, but it just feels like they write a chugging riff and they're like, all right, that's the riff for the whole song and we'll cycle it, and it's like down over and over again, and then they have a breakdown and it just basically either plays the same melody that they've been playing, or else it sounds like every other breakdown ever. That's why I like bands like Inner Shikari that actually mix things up, especially when they were a little bit more heavy and harder hitting with their sound, I suppose. They worked in electronicore and other elements into their sound, just like Icy Stars did. And there's other bands that do that, like maybe the Amity Affliction, which I'm still not crazy about because of the lyrics, but I can admit that maybe musically I'm a little bit more interested. Even their new album didn't necessarily flip a switch in my head that said, this is it. This is where I fall in love with the Amity Affliction. That wasn't it at all. But just in general, I feel like bands that even infuse like metalcore, electronicore, and post-hardcore into their sound, it feels like there's a little bit more effort there. Whereas metalcore, just like I said, kind of feels surface level, whether it be the lyrics or the instrumentation. I want a little bit more depth, and that is the real reason why I do not like most metalcore music. How do you guys feel about the genre? Let me know in the comments section down below. Keep in mind that this is just how I feel, and I wanted to kind of do it in an unscripted fashion where I just sit down, talk about my honest feelings with the genre. Let me know how you feel about metalcore in the comments section down below, and drop a like on the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel while you're here if you haven't already. Check out another Thinking Out Loud styled video by tapping the annotation here, or tap right over here for another recent video I posted on the channel. Socials are all linked in the description down below, and I'll see you soon for more right here on Beyond ARTV.